Welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm your host, Maya Schneider, and it's my privilege and honor to introduce you or reintroduce you to MaryLou Sullivan. MaryLou, welcome to the show.
Hi, Maya. It's nice to be here.
It is great to have you here. The reason we have MaryLou here is really because you've got a new show launching, Sierra News and Views, and we're going to be talking about that in a minute. But let's go back and start at the beginning, because MaryLou, you've been a producer here at Channel 6 since I've been here.
Yes, I started, gosh, I think it was back in 1996, and we met that infamous summer that we pulled together the Measure M program.
That's right.
And we have really come a long way with Channel 6 and TTC TV. We've got a beautiful studio here now, and we've really marched along in our different productions.
Well, things here are very different than when you first arrived. You came, though, from a professional background in production. Tell us about that.
Yes. Actually, I started rather late in my career. It was a second career for me. In the mid-'80s, I took some television production courses at Pasadena City College, and I connected. It was really what I wanted to do, and I was hired directly out of those advanced television production courses to be a writer and associate producer for shows we did for Lifetime Cable Network, and also ended up doing some shows, a lot of shows for Universal Studios as a film-to-tape supervisor.
So you really enjoyed that, and you've got a technical background.
Oh yes, yes, very much so.
And when you left that and ended up eventually getting up here to Truckee with your husband Jeff and your entourage of creatures, how, did you think you were going to be able to find television again?
Well, I really didn't. I actually came out of retirement and started doing. I'm a clinical dental hygienist, and I work for Dr. Robert Affelt here in town, have for some years now. But it was truly wonderful to connect and start being able to do what I love, and that's television production, and met you in the bargain.
And that was a wonderful trade-off for me. I remember the first time we taped a Truckee Talks, there was a press release that had been put out in the Sierra Sun calling for help, and MaryLou showed up and said, I have this professional background, and I thought, well, what are we going to do with her?
Well, everyone still teases me about it, too, because I walked in with my clipboard and my lucky stopwatch that I still get teased about, and I thought, okay, so where's the studio?
And it was a trailer in the back of the high school.
Yeah,
and a broken table and a broken mic.
Our first set was a bed sheet spray painted brown, as I recall. So
that's right.
Again, we've come along.
We have. Well, now you started a couple of years ago Sierra Public Media Corporation. All right, tell us about that. What is Sierra Public Media?
Sierra Public Media Corporation was formed in 2002 expressly to put more broadcast choices into the North Tahoe region, to actually empower our citizenry with education and access to much more information than I think we've had. We're an underserved population in the media, in my opinion.
I think that's very true. There's no local news, there's a weekly newspaper, and then now there's Moonshine Inc., but there certainly seems to be a gap here in getting local information.
And Sierra Public Media Corporation has been trying, along with our team that's come together over this, to put together a news program, and we're about to debut. We're debuting on January 30th. It's Sierra News and Views. We've got the best possible team assembled, and if enthusiasm is any measure of great things, this is going to be a great endeavor.
Well, we're going to talk about Sierra News and Views. I'm going to drag this out a little bit, though, because I want to talk a little bit about how did you get the idea for Sierra Public Media Corporation? What spawned that in your mind?
Sierra Public Media Corporation is a California nonprofit tax-exempt entity, and that's the reason we went down that road. Because of our local access situation and our broadcast capabilities, we have to raise funding PBS style. We can't do it in the regular commercial format that you're used to seeing. So we created the umbrella, you along with our team, Gary McNally and our other board members, to create that umbrella so that we could go ahead and do different productions under the auspices of the corporation.
And you're a full-fledged 501c3.
Oh yes, oh yes. And we'll be seeking donations to fund our operations for Sierra Public News and Views. This is a true community project, and that's what the beauty of it is. This is community interactivity at its absolute very best, and I think we've got great things on the horizon.
Well, then let's talk about that. Let's get to Sierra News and Views. What's the format like? What should people expect to see?
Well, it's going to be a little bit different than you're used to seeing. We're doing the show in 3 distinct segments. The first segment will be Sierra News, where our moderator, John Falk, and I think you're in on the debut program, along with our mayor, Ted Owens, We'll be discussing the news of that particular week, conversational style. And we will be covering the news in that fashion. Moving on to the second segment, Sierra Views. And this will be a little bit more provocative and a little bit more like Royal Tenenbaum said, he's going to shake it up a little bit. That's what's going to happen in this segment. We're going to have a moderator and up to 4 panelists discussing topics such as our first topic, affordable housing, emergency communication capability. We have any number of issues, in fact, a long list of issues that we'd like to discuss in that panel format. The third segment will be, I think, experimental but wonderful. An open mic community interactivity segment where people can call in and say what's on their mind and let us know what the citizenry wants to talk about and generate a dialogue that way with a couple of panelists and a moderator. So that's what we're doing on our first show, and it's live, baby. It's going to be live.
Now that can be edgy, MaryLou, putting a live program on.
Yeah.
What are some of the potential, well, what are the things that make you nervous about live programming?
Well, live programming doesn't make me nervous. I like live programming. In fact, it's the only way to go in television. And anything can happen, and it does happen. And there's spontaneity, excitement. People are going to want to watch this show because anything can happen.
Now, how do people get involved? If they want more information on Sierra News and Views, or they maybe you have some audience members who say, gosh, I've got a great idea for a topic that you need to be talking about, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I'll tell you what. At this point, you can call me directly at 587-3322, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. We also have a website, which is www.sierranews.tv, which will also offer information to the public. We'll make it available before the show debuts.
Why do you think our community is so challenged in media issues or broadcast? Why is there such a hole?
You know, that's a good question, Maya. We plain old haven't had the media infrastructure to get any sort of professional type programming out to our North Tahoe Truckee region. In fact, there are any number of possibilities that we could get to down the road. There is a tower that's been engineered up on Mount Pluto, 101.5 FM. We're trying to perhaps procure that frequency for regional radio. That's one of our long-term goals. We just need to do it. The time is now. The time has come to start doing a more professional, integrated, community, interactive news program. So we're launching it on the 30th of January.
I know that you were involved with the emergency broadcast during the Marylous fire. Is that 2 summers ago now already? It doesn't seem like it.
I think it was.
It was at least a year and a half ago now. What was your experience during that, and what lessons do you think our community needs to learn from that?
Well, during the Marylous fire, there were a lot of rumors. There was a lot of, frankly, panic, misinformation, and you and I and different members of the Channel 6 team skedaddled down to the town hall and were able to get information out on the airwaves as best we could, but we really didn't have, in my opinion, a cohesive approach to emergency situations such as the Marylous fire. I think another example, I mean, just recently, the gridlock situation over the holidays. There was no way to get that information out properly so that people could have made a decision not to get stuck on the 267 in that gridlock mess. So we just need to ramp it up, work together, make it work with our team, and find solutions to getting better media out into the public arena.
I think a number of people, especially recent newcomers to our region, are shocked that we don't have a radio station. And what are some of the obstacles, or how difficult is it to get a radio station? I know you and Gary McNally have done some research on this recently. Well,
they're not insurmountable obstacles, but frankly, it's expense. There is a frequency, 101.5, that is available. A company out of Virginia owns the rights to that frequency, but I think if we played our cards right, we could perhaps bring it under the auspices of our nonprofit and get it on the air. So again, that's one avenue that we are definitely working towards accomplishing. We need a radio here. I think it's astonishing we don't have it up to this point.
And there was a radio station some time ago in Truckee's history.
That's my understanding.
And
20 years ago.
You're right. It
not in my
doesn't
time.
even count.
Not in my time.
2 generations ago. Well, looking forward, you formed the Sierra Public Media Corporation. You're kicking off Sierra News and Views. These are significant steps. What do you see as the future of media in the Truckee-Tahoe community?
Well, I think just from our perspective, we're looking at bringing the community, the future is bringing the community into this process. In fact, that's been part of our mission and part of the reason we've received funding from Truckee-Tahoe Community Foundation. The community wants interactivity. We want to give a voice to our publics who are out there that perhaps would like a conduit into the dialogue about what's happening in our region. And that's what I see as the future, is pulling those elements together with Sierra News and Views and other programming. The sky's the limit. I mean, use your imagination, and we're going to get wild and crazy and really make it good.
You had a couple of press releases in the local papers for Sierra News and Views. What kind of response did you get? We've
had a fabulous response. In fact, we had auditions last week, and it was more energy than I've seen in a room in a long time. We had fresh voices. We had fresh people who are going to be working with us on our production staff. We have people who are going to be mentored and brought into the process who have an interest in making a better community. And I think it's a really exciting time. We have a fabulous core production staff, and we have new people who are coming on board as well. And anyone who has an interest in participating in this process, I wish they'd call me. Again, 587-3322, and see if we can't get you on board, plug you in.
Be a part of Sierra News and Views.
Absolutely.
So you kick off on the 30th.
That's correct.
And then when will Sierra News and Views air after that?
We will be airing on the second and last Thursdays of each and every month.
So you're rotating with the town council meetings,
correct.
basically.
And we'll be broadcasting at the same time at 6 p.m. so that we have a audience, hopefully, that's tuned in to watching what's going on in the community at 6 o'clock. And they'll be getting a live show and a chance to offer their views as well.
Do you envision a rotating panel of speakers, or are you going to have?
Yes, we do. And because people do have day jobs, and we have so many qualified, interesting, articulate people who are interested in doing this. Yes, to answer your question, we will have a rotating panel. Right now, our anchor person is John R. Falk, a articulate, informed, dynamic individual, but we'll be working with probably 3 or 4 or 5 panelists who will be regular faces on Sierra News and Views.
I look forward to seeing John on the television. I think anybody that can keep up with his vocabulary is...
Well, he's the funniest guy I've ever met, and one of the smartest too, so we're really lucky to have him on board.
What else do you see as a hole in our community, if any, that could be filled? What should people be paying attention to as a need in terms of media?
Well, I know we've got a competing newspaper with Moonshine Inc. I think any time that you have a variety of voices that are talking about issues in the community, I think this is a valuable exercise, and the more information the better. You know, technology has kind of taken a hit lately, but I think technology is the key to a better global informed community, and we're going to take advantage of every aspect of the technology we have available to us, and there's more than you'd think.
You know, it's interesting that if you look at the history of television and where it started, and it's always been a form of entertainment, although there's been an educational component to it, and where I think it could have been educational first and entertainment second, it's really taken on an entertainment scope. And it's probably my least favorite medium, which is funny coming from somebody who's hosted a talk show on television for 6 years. But I really look forward to programming such as the programming you're proposing that involves the community. It makes it interactive with the community, and the panelists, you know, really be on the spot. This isn't a government meeting where you're.
Oh no, we're gonna have fun with it too.
You've got the gavel.
We want a little aspect of entertainment. It is showbiz, folks, a little bit. I mean, it is. But we're also going to bring quality, solid information to the table. And again, the public's input is extraordinarily important to us, and we'll be looking for that in each and every show.
Let's go back to the financing element for just a second. I think that there may be a misconception in our community that, first of all, the programming that you see on Channel 6 is paid, or that the people that work there or host the shows are paid. In fact, everybody in here is a volunteer, with the exception of the staff of TTC TV, and then that's Mary Stamps, John Eccles, and Peter Fletcher. So you take that core out, and everybody else here, from the camera people I'm looking at, my directors in the booth, all just show up every week and don't get paid for it.
That's because these people have a passion about a better community. And that's what's one of the best aspects for me about working down here at Channel 6. You work with people you wouldn't normally run into at your work or whatever you do in your spare time, but you work with people who want a better community locally and a better community globally, and I get a kick out of it every time. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to be able to participate in.
The exception, of course, for me is that I have Patty Lesser behind the camera. She has to look at me every day at work and then come here on Wednesday nights.
You know, there's one other aspect I want to bring up. We will be trying at the GetGo to launch concurrent internet video streaming with this program, so that it's not just the Channel 6 customers that will be privy to this wonderful show we're going to be starting. It'll be technically anyone with a computer that can download the show.
Is there a way to access that now? Is that still being worked out?
We're working on that, and it should be up and running pretty much at the GetGo. There's some pretty exciting technology that's in our price range.
So again, if you want information on Sierra News and Views or Sierra Public Media Corporation, you can contact MaryLou Sullivan, 587-3322, and of course we will be showing MaryLou's contact information at the end of the show as well. MaryLou, I know you had a host of people you wanted to acknowledge. Do you want to run down that list?
Well, sure I will. I wonder if I can find the list. I just want to make sure that we include our production staff. Gary McNally deserves all the credit in the world. He's had the paradigm shift to make this less labor intensive. Of course, Maya, Hartley and Patty Lesser, Jack Davis, John Eccles, John Falk, Brian Regolo, Ted Owens, Pat Davison, Connie Stevens, Peter Fletcher, Vince DeVenny, and I'm sure I left somebody off, but I'm sorry, and that's my list.
Well, and it was certainly exciting to see all the volunteers that showed up during the rehearsal. And, and the new faces, as you mentioned. Okay, Sierra News and Views, a new show debuting right here on TTC TV Channel 6, will debut January 30th. That's a Thursday, and it will air the second and fourth Thursday of every month. Again, you can contact MaryLou Sullivan at Sierra Public Media Corporation at 587-3322, and to get a glimpse of Sierra News and Views or to participate in Sierra News and Views, watch your TVs on the second and fourth Thursdays at 6 p.m. You'll have telephone, phone-in information, and you can participate in this new live programming. MaryLou, I wish you and your crew the best of luck. It's exciting.
It's going to be fun.
It's nerve-wracking.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Well, MaryLou, good luck. And thanks
you
for being on the show.
Thank you for everything.
All right, we will be back in just a minute with whatever I can pull together for upcoming. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. If I had been any better organized or technologically efficient, we might have some upcoming events for you like we used to do. But we're just going to fudge here with the newspapers, so stick with me, folks. We've got a few upcoming events I want to share with you. First of all, North Star at Tahoe is going to team up with Antonori Vintner's Winery to present a winemaker's dinner on Saturday, January 18th. That's a nice thing to do on a full moon. That will be held at the resort's Martis Valley Grill, and you can contact North Star at 562-2460 for more information. Also at North Star at Tahoe, every month during the winter they do a full moon snowshoe. That's not to be missed. I think this week's is actually on the 17th instead of the 18th. Again, you'll want to contact North Star for information, and you can call their central number 562-1010 for more information. Let's see, that gets rid of that page. I don't know if you saw this in the paper, but in the North Shore Action, this looks like a lot of fun. Snow art to decorate Mount Rose Highway. Artists and amateurs compete for $2,000 in an annual snow sculpture contest. Easy for me to say. The landscape adjacent to the highway is becoming an outdoor museum, basically. And if you want information on this, you can pick up an entry form at the Incline Village Crystal Bay Visitors Bureau, or more affectionately known as the IVCBVB, at 969 Tahoe Boulevard in Incline Village. You can build your snow sculpture on Highway State Route 431, the Mount Rose Highway, between Mount Rose Summit and Incline Village. It would be a fun thing to drive up there and see what kind of sculpture is popping up out of the snow. That'd be a fun thing to do. We talked about this last week, but the Tibetan monks are visiting Reno January 22nd through the 24th. And if you want information about that, please call Pieter Van Tassel at 775-825-5588. 585-483. There is a casting call on for a local play that's being produced here. You can contact Mary Stamps if you're interested. She's looking for talent of all ages. Contact Mary at 582-0163, a casting call for a play called Border Crossings, and that play will premiere during Ski Skate Week. And then a few things coming up also on the events calendar. We see there's an adventure slideshow series. You know, if they paid me to do this, they would actually get somebody who could do this. But this adventure slideshow series will be presented by the Backcountry 7 Sharp at Bar 1 and the Olympic House in Squaw Valley. This is going on every Wednesday night. And tonight, well, unfortunately it's too late, but that would have been a great show. Jim Zeller's presenting a slideshow on Bolivia. Next week, January 22nd, will be Brad Barledge in doing a slideshow on Baffin Island. They give these things to me to make my job more interesting. Doing wild couloir descents, kite skiing, polar bears, and more. I'm not sure what they're doing with the polar bears, but that will be part of the show. And the 20th anniversary of Hot Dog the movie, for all you ski buffs in the Warren Miller days. This is a cult classic for skiers, and you'll want to look for that at Squaw this coming weekend, the 17th and 18th. This will include a cast party with some of the original members of the cast of Hot Dog. Call Squaw for more information. It should be airing the 17th and 18th of January. That's it for this week's show. We really want to thank MaryLou Sullivan, the producer of Sierra News and Views, for coming on our program tonight. Look for Sierra News and Views to debut on Channel 6 on Thursday, January 30th, and then thereafter the second and fourth Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. That's it for this week's Truckee Talks. Thanks to the crew for showing up one more time, and we'll see you next week.